Hello and welcome to the Kitbash, everyone. Here I'm going to examine various model kits and see how they stack up against the more recent kits in that line, and how accurate they are compared to the original unit if they have an anime or other sort of media. Not exactly complicated, but it should get the job done.
So aside from being a big ol' weeb and a gamer and all that, I also have a D&D crew that I play with pretty regularly, and we just started up an evil campaign. We've yet to actually do anything too evil, but as such I found myself needing a Yuan-Ti character wielding a bow. However, the Yuan-Ti are not exactly known for their great representation in miniatures, and so I'm going to have to do something a little drastic. But first, a little background. As far as Dungeons and Dragons is concerned, minis have always been optional. While it was originally spun out of the chainmail medieval miniatures game, it has since obviously outstripped that game. Dungeons and Dragons has gone back and forth on miniature support and necessity, but for the most part, you can play the game in its current state, or in its Pathfinder/Starfinder counterpart, without having to purchase additional miniatures. Reaper miniatures, our target for today, has been in business since 1992, coinciding coincidentally with the release of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition. AD&D made the game start to become somewhat more like the game that's played today, though 3rd edition would be some years off. Reaper miniatures filled a gap that would not be covered by Dungeons & Dragons branded miniatures until 2003, and continue to run through the D&D mini games cancellation in 2011. While there are still Dungeons & Dragons branded miniatures out on the market, there's no game specifically that goes with them, and so the releases can be a little all over the place. Reaper has had an extremely successful run through several different iterations and model lines, and currently has both metal and plastic lines of miniatures available. As far as the subject of this particular kit bash, the Yuan-Ti are a race of typically evil snake-human hybrids. As belies their Ophidian heritage, they are calculating, cunning, and brutal warriors who prefer subtlety over direct action. They come in 3 main types: purebloods, who appear mostly human to infiltrate humanoid societies. Malisons, or half-bloods, are somewhere between snake and human, often having a scaled hide or a tail instead of legs. Abominations are mostly snake with a few human features, and are venerated by their peers. Unfortunately, the miniatures available for these mysterious snake folk are somewhat lacking both in accuracy to my character and overall class. But hey, they're baddies, not PCs. Until today. Now, I don't have anything specific to compare them against, but here are some of the miniatures that are available through both D&D in their new HD model line and the Reaper version. And, well, hi guys, what's up? So, let's kick it to the live cam and see what I can do. Yes, that's right, everybody. On this very special episode, hope I don't get sued for that one, we're actually kit bashing something here on the Kit Bash. So, what I have with me here is an experiment mostly. See, I am currently in a Dungeons and Dragons game, and I have a Yuan-Ti Malazan character, and as I explained earlier in the video, well, the one from Reaper looks kind of derpy. I don't really care for the ones that they have in the D&D line. However, they do have other bits and pieces and bits and bobs that I can use, so we're going to take this from the top, basically, and make ourselves a Yuan-Ti, or snake folk, out of a Marlith and an Elven Ranger. Now, you may be wondering why I don't just use the Marlith itself, and, well, let me tell you, there's a reason that it's packaged in just a certain way, and that reason is, ladies and gentlemen, snake titty. Yep. I mean, like, look, sure, like, that's rad if you like that sort of thing, and you're into snake titty. But, like, as for my house, our miniatures are fully clothed. Or at least they try to be. Okay, maybe that's just actually a complete lie. But, I'm not bringing a... Well, for one thing, my character's not female. And for another thing, it's a snake folk, so why does that have boobs? But mostly, I don't want to go to my buddy's house to play D&D with his wife and 2 daughters there, and have a weird booby figure on the board. Like, I'm relatively certain they think I'm a weird, lonely hermit anyway, so I don't want to give them any more fodder for it. So, what we do have here is a perfectly good snake base. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Reaper Miniatures, they're a miniature company that basically makes your D&D stuff. Now, it comes with its own little base, which is nice. And it comes with this really rad snake tail, which is basically exactly what I wanted. And it plugs in right here. I will have to glue this eventually. But it goes like that. Sticks in like this. And then we've also got this Elven Ranger, which if it cost any more than $3.75 to buy, I would be really loath to chop apart. But because I'm stupid as hell and ballsy, we're going to take our hobby clippers here and start chopping away. So the first thing, ideally, I want to get here to this kind of floofy flowing area, but obviously that's not going to fit in the snake pelvis thing. So I'm going to have to get creative. But the first thing that I do need to do, obviously, is I need to get him off the base. So we just take our clippers and we go like that, and like that, and okay. So in addition to being attached by the feet here, by the boots, he is additionally attached at this point here. Now that's an easy point to break. Boop, like that. Because God bless the Reaper miniatures, they are just the softest little plastic resin imaginable. So what this means is probably that we're going to start having to shave off parts here. And let's see if I can get that down. Because I want to keep this bit here, this flowy bit, but I'm also willing to accept that maybe that's just not possible. Now we're just going to take his leg off here. That's going to pop right off. Mother pronker. There we go. Okay, so what is becoming abundantly apparent right now is that I'm going to have to keep sawing to get it how I want, which is unfortunate because I would like to have a little butt flap thing going on, but I think I might be able to survive. Okay, well, that's just not going to fit neatly, and unfortunately I don't have any. There's a product that Games Workshop puts out called Green Stuff that is really helpful in seeing to. Can I just see? I want to keep this part here with the cool sword, but I don't know if the model is going to cooperate. I gotta say, like, as somebody who normally kit bashes just Warhammer stuff, this is a lot fucking easier. Pardon my language. With models that just already come in parts. I'm gonna cut through a little bit more. You kind of just have to keep chipping away. Hey, there we go. That's starting to fit. Now, luckily, I have a bunch of parts from Warhammer that I can use to cover up this unsightly spot here where it doesn't stick together. So essentially it's going to sit like this, roughly like this, and then I'm just going to flop this thing over to give him this little butt flap or little crotch flap. And before I get any further, Yuan-Ti don't have ears. And now we're gonna play my least favorite, if I'm perfectly honest, game. The plunk onto model and hold together and wait for the stuff to cure game. It is a very frustrating game, and that does not need to be seen on camera. So, in that case, we're going to call a wrap on that right quick. Now, you can see that this is not a hard process. You just kind of have to be willing to hack and slash until the part is off and you've got what you want out of it. And additionally, I think I can probably use this on one of my bigger Warhammer bases just as a cool little
little rock or something. Cut the feet off first, but oop, oop. I lost it. I think that actually landed in my bits box. But yeah, hey, so here's. Hey, look, now I have a cool little rock that I can just place somewhere. What am I going to do with snake boobs, though? I don't know. I don't actually know. I'm probably going to use these arms because Marliths are six-armed snake women demons, and they have all these extra weapons, and it also comes with these flowing locks. But I don't know if I'm entirely comfortable with. Oh yeah, I'm a demon, but I'm also sexy. Yeah. Like, look, I'm not gonna kink shame anybody until I actually start kink shaming people. But yeah, that's a weird one on me. But anyway, as we have it here, here's Quick Strike. All right, and we're back with one finally finished, well, quote unquote finished, super cured. As you can see, I'm doing the shake test on it. I haven't done the dump test, but you know what? I'm not gonna. Ta-da! And because this figure is so bottom heavy, it's got enough badonk that it's not a problem. That it usually will fall face first. But again, this is a Kitbash. Minis break. It happens. You get over it. So what I'm going to do now is I've selected the loincloth I'm going to use to cover up the big stonking gap. Get the fingers off of there. And yeah, it's not perfect. It looks fine from the front. You can kind of see that there's some goofery from the sides here. Maybe if I just sling this just a little. Well, no, I can't do that now because it's stuck. If I try, well, no. Try to sling this just a little lower. Again, this is not. This is. In the words of the inimitable Krog, it not perfect system. But we knew that going in. Now, I was originally going to try and use this bit here to try and get more coverage. But, you know, at this point, this is fine. I'm doing this to put it on the table and have a mini at my buddy's place. Apparently it's making all of its break saves. And I don't really have a good snake head that I want to put on it that wouldn't be just getting a slice from the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Eldar line. And if I was going to do that, I would have just bought one. Like, I don't want to kitbash in a snake head from that. Especially since snake heads can't speak common or any form like human words, and it's been established that that Quick Strike is talking without the aid of a translator, so it seems a little silly. Now, now that I've got this on here and it's acceptably covered, I'm going to go and I'm going to go base coat this with black, and then I'm going to start painting on it. And so we'll be back in a little bit with these post base coat. Alright. Alright, well, now we've got mostly everything base coated. We're just going to take some Abaddon black base coat. And take one of my bigger paint brushes here that you can't see me doing anything with because I'm off screen right now. I'm just going to kind of dip this in here. We're just going to get in there. A little extra black. Now, I personally swear by a black base coat. I think it makes the details pop out all that much better. But I'm sure there are those of you in the comments right now who are just screaming. But, yeah. Now, it's worth noting that you don't have to base coat these things. Reaper, and especially the proper Dungeons and Dragons line that they've got going out now is actually they come ready for a coat of paint. So you basically just take them out of your package and just plunk them down right here, and you can just get painting with them. But that's not how I have this thing going right now. So apparently I was painting a lot of red earlier. Looking at my brushes. Give me a big one. Give me a big one. Because we have a snake man, I'm going to paint his butt green. And this is Warpstone Glow. And I've also got with me Cobalite Green. I'm going to put the underside of his scalage right here. I'm going to make that green. That green. And this is going to be the one for the rest of the tail. So, here we go. Mix that up. Sometimes you gotta beat up your brushes a little bit to get them to do what you want them to do. Time for tea. Apologies to Cameron Louder. So we're just going to go in through here, give him that first layer. This first little layer. I'm trying not to turn into Bob Ross here. Oh, we're just going to give the snake man his little happy scales. That'll just be our little secret between you and me. God bless Bob Ross for being like the chillest dude. Like, I don't know if people really appreciated him properly when he was alive, but we sure as hell love him now because he's just. I mean, he was like a living parody of himself, right? Apologies, I don't really have anything interesting to say. So, you'll notice I'm not being particularly careful. I'm only being really careful up here, but because this is like the first layer, it's going to get painted over at some point somehow. And especially when you're looking at this rock here that I just put, some green on. That's going to be Codex Gray when I get my mitts on it, when I get around to it. I haven't gotten around to it yet because how do I care? But let's see. Now I've already established in D&D game canon that he's a snake. Like he's scaly all over, but I also have made it that he's not he's wearing a lot of armor, so you don't see a lot of exposed scale. Because why would he wear more? Why would he not wear more clothing? So I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to do with this later. But until that point, I can just get my brush here, grab another one. This is a nice big one. You can tell I've had these brushes for a while. They look like they've been through the ringer. Then we're gonna get this lighter green here. We're gonna just put that up on his belly scales here. Now I'll be honest, I haven't painted a lot of Reaper miniatures, so I'm not 100% sure how well they take a coat of Citadel paint, but we'll try it. I'm just gonna put a little snaky. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to come back and do more on his face, but we're gonna put some earth tones. And by earth tones, I mean dirt. And by dirt, I mean this apparently poop brown. So, that was a funny story about snakes back in the day. I had the opportunity as a small child to, pet, I believe it was a boa constrictor.
at a local zoo, and I was just like, I don't want to touch it because it's slimy. Like, no, actually, stupid 4-year-old, snakes aren't slimy at all. They're quite dry. And I found that out the hard way. Not the hard way, but I found it out the direct way. And I was just like, oh, actually, this isn't awful. But hell if I knew that at the time, being like 4. My dad hated snakes. I don't know what his fucking problem was with them, but I don't know. Parents have weird quirks, right? Just like real humans. I'm just gonna put the poop brown over to the side for a minute. Take this warpstone glow. Take this cobblight green. I may dub a little bit of cobblight green on his face. And well, without tooting my own horn all that much, I did do a fair few change ups here. So first of all, I decided to go over the warpstone glow on the front, and I decided to replace it with moot green, which makes it pop a little bit more, I think. I added a little bit of bone spurs or whatever those are supposed to be to the whatever these things are supposed to be to the bow. I gave him a red cloak around the waist, hide his unsightly butt and all that stuff. I'm gonna go over this one again before I call it finished, just to get a couple more of those gaps. And it may not look like I changed much about his armor, but I did actually paint it up in this Stegodon scale green. If you can call it green, it's blue as far as I'm concerned, but it's just off black, and I like having a little bit more color in it. Left the hair black. I don't think I'm gonna change that. I'm probably gonna come back around and actually, while I've got it here, why don't I just ... So what I'm doing here is I'm going over his arrows and I'm just lighting them right up. Much like painting with actual blood, you kind of have to give it a couple of coats with this particular color. Don't ask me how I know that. It's jokes. It's jokes, not actually a serial killer. Or am I? You'll never know. There are a few things more frustrating, by the way, than grabbing your paint pot that's like half full and be like, okay, well, let's just stick my brush into it. Aww. Now I have managed to resurrect some of these paints before, but I think this one has been dead for some time. Check my. As you can see, I went over the tail area again with the green, and I painted in this rock. And well, I'm not the greatest painter in the universe, but I think that's table worthy. And of course, I'm sure you guys are all gonna tell me, jump off a cliff or whatever because you suck at painting. And so, like, yeah, I know. I'm well aware of my suckage at painting, but I don't rightly care all that much either. It's just like it's a nice, fun thing to have on the table, and it saves me from having to buy a full priced GW model for my D&D game. And TBH, I think that's about as good as it's going to get, so we're going to leave that there for the time being, and we're going to call it an episode. So we'll catch you on the next episode when I start working on the other thing that I base coated, and I hope you'll enjoy that as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll kick it back to the studio. So there you have it, one Malison with a minimal amount of destruction and a fair to minimal amount of paint. I'd have loved it if I didn't have to wreck face on an otherwise good set of model kits, but thanks to Reaper's entirely fair pricing, I didn't lose out on too much, plus I got this video out of it. So I have another Kitbash that's actually a quote-unquote Kitbash in the works right now, and hopefully you guys dig what I have in store for you, and we'll get back to talking about Gunpla down the line in a little while. And as always, thanks for watching.